Welcome to the Writer Groupie podcast. I'm Kim Smith, the writing guru, bringing you discussions, insights, and insider details on planning, producing, promoting, and profiting as a writer. This is a podcast by writers for writers. You can find out more about Writer Groupie at www.kimsmithauthor.com. And here's the next episode of Writer Groupie. Hi everyone, and welcome to the episode 41 of Writer Groupie. Tonight my guest is H.W. Vivian, who is the author of the contemporary YA fiction War of Rain, which is really YA fantasy, and the horror book Chasers, and a humorous satire book called Days of Amber, which is written under her other pen name, Alex Chu. So welcome, Miss Vivian.
Thank you so much for having me, Kim. I'm just really excited to talk about my books and talk to you. It's awesome.
I'm so glad to have you on the show tonight. You know, we met at Imaginarium 2015 up in Louisville, Kentucky, which is a fantastic creative conference, you guys. If you haven't made plans to go to Imaginarium, you have until the end of this week to get discounted rates. So be sure and check out Imaginarium 2016. They have a Facebook page, and they have a website. So go out there and search for Imaginarium. You'll certainly find it. And Vivian, so what have you been doing since we saw each other last at the con?
Sure. Well, I have been talking to awesome bloggers such as yourself, and also I've been talking to some readers. I met some new readers and new fans in other conferences and expositions, and of course I've been writing. So yeah, I guess for a writer, the writing never stops.
No, it doesn't. I'll tell you. And I've been doing so well for the last 2 or 3 weeks with my word count. I have a word count goal of like 500 words a day, and I've been going above and beyond that, which has made me extremely happy until this week. And of course, this week, everything in the world in the kitchen sink has landed on top of me. I've not written up the first word this whole week, so I'm going to really have to buckle down to meet my word count goals this week. But you know, it's just a case of once you get started doing it, usually you can just keep on going. And so I'm looking forward to that. I hope that's what happens to me this week.
I hope you continue writing also. It's a great experience to just write and meet your goals. Yeah.
It is. So listen, we want to know all about your books and how you got started writing. Just tell us about your whole publishing journey.
Sure. So my first novel was actually Chasers. I had actually started writing it when I was 19 years old. That was, I would say, 6 or 7 years ago. And so I wrote the beginning, the middle, and the end. But at that time, I was in college. I was trying to find a job, and just life got in the way. So I let the original manuscript sit for about 3 to 4 years, and one day I just found it again in my laptop, and I read through it, and I just really enjoyed reading it, and I thought that maybe I could turn it into a full-length novel. And writing your first novel is sort of like just putting faith in something that you have no idea what you're doing. Because it started out as a short story, and I had tried to submit it to a couple of magazines as a short story. And the feedback that I always got was that they felt like there was more to the story than just what they read. And I thought that, I kind of have that feeling too. I kind of thought that the characters could be extended a little bit, other things could have happened, and so that's what I did. I just wrote in more scenes and added some more characters, and eventually it just turned into a novel. And it was really scary when I finished it, because I just realized that I wrote something that very few people really write, and it was a great feeling. So I had actually queried it around to a couple of publishers and agents, and I didn't feel like any of them really understood what I was writing about. So I was sort of faced with this decision where do I just sit back and pretend that the last 6 months of me writing that story never happened, or do I just get it out there? And so I decided that the world should just know what I did, and so I decided to self-publish it. And it's been great. I've made a lot of new friends along the way, and it's just a very liberating feeling to be able to show what you write and just, I guess, show your true self to the world. And yeah.
So, what do you think is the best part of self publishing? I've been self publishing for a long time now, and I've got definite opinions about it. I think everybody probably does. And so, I want to hear what you think about self publishing. What do you think's the best part?
I think the best part about self-publishing is having control over the story. I actually queried my third novel, War of Rain, to a couple of agents and publishers, and there was one agent who actually said that they would like to represent the story, and so at first I thought this is great. Someone actually wants to shop my manuscript around to actual big time publishers. And she said that, well, she thought some things could have been changed. And I thought, okay, where is this going? And actually said that the main character and some of the other characters didn't jump out at her. They didn't seem real to her, and she just didn't understand what was going on. And so I was sort of conflicted with this idea. And so at that point, I had faced a couple of hurdles, mostly financially, with self-publishing Chasers and also Days of Amber, and basically I thought that, well, it shouldn't be a big deal for me to change a couple of things around, just to, I guess, accommodate for the agent and the publisher. And so I had actually spent a whole month changing everything around. I kept my original manuscript just because it was endearing to me, but I had changed around everything, a little bit of the story, the characters, and just all the little things that happened. And so I had sent it back to the agent, and she had taken maybe 3 weeks to look at it, and finally she emailed me back saying that she still doesn't like the manuscript and she wanted more changes. And it was then that I thought maybe she just doesn't get it. So that's when I decided to just self-publish again, because the great thing about self-publishing is that the truth is out there. Nobody is going to mess with your truth, and what you wrote is what people are going to read. And that's what I love most about self-publishing.
Yeah, I have to agree. The control is just heady. We write the story of our heart. And yeah, I'm pretty confident that if we needed to change things around or, adjust a character or, do anything with their character arc or, just the things that would make the story better, we're totally worthy. We're ready. We're up for that. But to ask for specific changes, to go through the opportunity to take care of all that for an agent and then them to come back and say that they still didn't like it, I don't know. I don't know if I could do that. I'd be like you. I'd probably be like, you know what? This is way more work than I want it to be. I wrote the book I wanted to write. If you don't get it, somebody will.
Exactly.
And I just kind of feel like other publishers and authors out there, I call us indie publishers because we are. We're little publishers. We're publishing our own work and we're doing our own thing, so that makes us a publisher. But I think for the most part, I think everybody is seeing the light. I think everybody feels that way, that, I'm not a one hit wonder. I'm going to write a lot of books. And if I had to stop and make adjustments and tweak this and change that and resubmit and get it back and have more changes, I mean, we could all be in a grave before our first book got published. You're a lot younger than me, but if you look at my hair, you can see I earned every one of those little gray strands. And I'm not going to, I'm not going to wait all my life to have one yes. I just can't. It's not in me. It's not who I am anymore. I just don't believe I can do it. If I was still 25 years old, maybe I'd consider it because I feel like, oh, I've got lots of books in me and I've got lots of time. Let's do this thing, but not anymore. I'm ready to just get my work out there into the world and, let it fly. So, where do you get your ideas from? I read a little bit of your books, Chasers and War of Rain, and they're man, you've got a literary bent to your voice, to your writing voice, that I'm jealous. I'm just jealous. I can't do that. I don't know why. I guess I'm just an old-fashioned genre fiction writer. I'm kind of almost pulpy. But you have a very lyrical voice, and so I was very intrigued, especially War of Rain. It starts out right in a good place, in my opinion. And I thought, wonder where she gets her ideas from.
Sure. Well, actually, it's interesting that you say lyrical because for War of Rain and Chasers, I actually started writing them from dreams that I had, and I feel like writing from dreams is different from writing from when you are actually conscious. And I do write stories that were not from dreams, like Days of Amber, and also another novel called Monarchs, which I actually took down just to rework some of the details. So writing from dreams is kind of different because it just sort of makes you feel differently and makes you think differently. You're writing more from an sense than, I guess, a logical sense that you were right when you were conscious when you got the idea. So that is one way that I get my writing ideas. Another way that I write and I get my ideas is actually questioning things. So I wrote Days of Amber when I was working in an IT company, and back then all the stories about Wall Street scandals and security breaches were really dark, and I just thought that there's a lot of humor that actually goes on when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just decided to take a very, I guess, serious story, like someone hacking into a company to gain industry secrets, and just turning it into a satire. And I've gotten really good feedback from my readers. They said it's hilarious. It's something that is really original, and you know, like, serious. It can be really funny because
We broke up.
after a
Hang on
while
just a
the
second.
scandals they died down.
We broke up. It just, the video froze and the audio froze, and this is interesting, and I didn't want to miss any of it. So if you don't mind, just back up just a couple of sentences there.
Okay, yeah, sure. People just thought that reading and watching things about really serious scandals was just getting old. I mean, you had the Wall Street movie with Shia LaBeouf, which actually is the sequel to the original, and then you had another movie called Margin Call that I watched, and I thought, well, it's pretty cool that they tried to make this historic spin on the whole Lehman Brothers collapse, but it was just really boring. And and it's just that you can turn these sort of Wall Street scandal stories into, and that's why I decided. When I'm so far, I haven't really heard of anyone else who was able to do that. I'm sure there are, but I just thought that there should be something different in all these scandal movies, and yeah, that's just what I did.
That's very cool because, I guess, yeah, I always say ideas are everywhere. Ideas are pretty free. Everybody gets ideas from different places, but it's really cool when you write from dreams. That's very interesting. I mean, I've actually gotten some ideas to write from dreams, but I've never really written the dream. I've just gotten a gist of an idea from a dream. And I've done pretty much the same thing with movies and stuff. Like, you'll watch. I'll give you an example. The other night I was watching something on like the channel that Masterpiece Theater, and it was just a little segment of dialogue between these two Brits that just rang my bell. I mean, all of a sudden I'm like, oh man, I could write something about that. It's just really weird how that happens. A writer's mind is never at rest.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So, I everybody these days that are self-published authors, one of the big things that we need and we have the most trouble with is getting reviews for our work. And I noticed that you've been getting reviews. I think you have more reviews than me, all told. And so I wanted to know if you had any suggestions on where to get reviews, maybe how you've gotten the reviews you've received.
Sure. So, mostly bloggers. I would say that a self-published author's greatest friend is a blogger. And I have been able to get reviews through different ways. The easiest way that I started out doing that was just Googling book bloggers, and just contacting them relentlessly. And doing that is sort of like querying an agent or sending an application to a possible employer. It's just starting out with a really nice letter and just asking them to just check out your book, and offering, of course, free copies and such. And also another resource that I've come in contact with recently is something called tomoson.com. That's TOMOSON.com, Tomoson. And you get a 30-day free trial to contact a lot of different bloggers. There are book bloggers there, but also shopping bloggers, movie bloggers, health and beauty bloggers. And they're a really big help when you're trying to get reviews. And they're all really honest, and a lot of them are really, really professional. So definitely check them out, tomoson.com.
TOMOSON.
Yes.
Okay. I've got that down. I'll put that in the show notes. Did you target YA book bloggers specifically, or were you just kind of like anybody that did blogging for book reviews?
Sure. It actually goes both ways. So you can actually go onto the bloggers list. They have one updated like every week or so. And they allow you to contact them and also sort through them based on interests. So for me, I sorted them based on book bloggers. And also, the bloggers are allowed to message you directly and say that, hey, I saw that you write books. I would like to review your book. If you want to send me a free copy or some sort of a discounted coupon or something. And it's just really easy, and it's really easy to use, and it's a great resource for any writer or even a publisher.
And what link is this again?
It's just
Oh, it
tomoson.com.
was the Tomoson. I thought it was a different list that you had mentioned. Okay, awesome. That's a
Sure.
great resource. Everybody needs to know about that, so I thank you for sharing that with my
Sure.
listeners. So, as a writer and a publisher, we all have only 24 hours in a day to get anything done. And if you're like me, you work a full-time job, and you have a family, and you have a social life, and you have a dog. So what do you have to give up for your writing?
Sure. So when I was in college, I was actually studying investment banking.
You are
Yeah.
ambitious.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, it was just something I was interested in, and in there, they make fun of executive assistants, and so I just went through college just being, I guess, a pretty ignorant person. I just made fun of anyone who had like an administrative job, and it wasn't until I actually came out with Chasers that I realized that if I really wanted to pursue writing, I guess on a full-time level, then there are some things in my full-time job that I can't do, like constantly travel or to be constantly like focused on the stock markets or something. And so I guess karma and decided to be more of an administrative professional than pursue something like stockbroking or investment banking or something like that.
Something a
So
little less demanding.
yes, exactly. Something that's a little more laid back, like in the shadows. And I guess that's what I had to give up, but I really don't regret it because I'm sure you understand writing
Oh yeah.
it's more rewarding than anything. It's more rewarding than money or fame. I don't regret it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I'm saying, I think about, in order to get a full length novel done, it takes time. And if you're writing a series, it takes even more time, which, it just has to be your passion. It just has to be your passion. If it's not something that you just really want to do and you really enjoy doing, then chances are good you're not going to stay with it, because it's such a highly competitive industry now. There's so many books, and so I'm really happy to know that you have stayed with it. You've had to give up a few things, but you are making your niche in the world. I'm happy about that. So. Uh,
Sure. Thank you.
what are going to be some of your goals for 2016? You've already accomplished a lot in the last couple of years. I think you published your first book in 2014, right?
Yes, it was January actually. It was That's the way I start off my year with a published book.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, definitely. And for 2016, I actually hope to release the second novel, To War of Rain. I had actually finished a second and third novel, and so that makes a trilogy, and I just hope to release it somehow. And yeah, that's my goal, to release the second novel.
I think that's fabulous. And, you're always welcome to come back on. New books, this is a great jumping off point for promotion. So
Definitely.
remember me when you get done. You get them out there. I'm
I
still going to be here.
will. I never forgot you, and I never forget any of my friends that I've met through writing. And well, the thing about writing, and I guess any creative endeavor, is that the only way you succeed is through the connections that you make and through the friends that you make, and it's really each other that defines a person's success. So I hold all my friends close, all my bloggers close. I still keep in touch with them. We chat every now and then. And that's something that I feel some people who are new to writing don't understand, is that it's more than just writing. It's also about networking, going to conferences like Imaginarium and expos all over the country and sometimes even outside the country. So, what's great is that writing is collaborative, and it's not something that you just hold yourself in your room at home doing all day. You can go out and meet people and make friends, and that's what I always tell people who are looking to get into writing, is that if you plan to just sit at home writing all day, I don't think you will get what you want from writing, because there is a whole world out there full of other writers that you can share ideas with and talk to, and they will help you and you have to help them in return. It's not a lonely endeavor. It's very collaborative.
Yeah, you're not an island. Absolutely.
Hmm.
And to be really honest, people who are aspiring authors, when they first get started, they have this great idea in their head and everything. They carry it around for a while, and it just sounds fantastic. It's like the most unique story that anybody has ever heard of, and they can't wait to write the book. But when they sit down to write it, it just doesn't sound the same on paper. They can't get it out on paper the way it was in their head. And you got to have somebody else in your world, people. You have to. You've got to bounce that idea off of someone and say, why can't I say this the way it sounds in my head? It's just weird. I know if you're out there and you're aspiring to be an author, you probably don't get this, but you will. Just keep working at it. You'll get it.
Definitely.
So as a sage writer yourself, since you've been writing for a couple of years and you have these great goals for 2016, which will be your second year in the publishing industry, what kind of advice can you give an aspiring author? Tell them something you wish somebody had told you.
I think the best advice I could give is just not to give up. There were so many times where I guess I had friends who were aspiring writers, and they came out with their first books, and I guess all of them self-published, and they just got bogged down by the fact that some people didn't like their books, or they tried to start their second books, and they just felt afraid and worried about so many different things, like the cost and the criticism and everything. And when you really look at it, it's really nothing. And I started writing with the mentality that I don't want to stop, whether or not people criticize me or not. And it's just that I look at writing and also reading in a matter of mortality. And what I mean by that is, so what if people criticize you or give you a bad review on Amazon? You're still alive, and there are still other people who want to read your book that you have not met yet. And so, one day they will meet you, they will read your books, and you will meet them, and it's going to be a great conversation, or just a great literary partnership that you have. And so never give up, because when you're a writer, you're just not writing for yourself. You're writing for other people also. And if you have an idea in your mind, whether it's entertaining or whether it's something sort of inspiring, like I wrote with War of Rain, then you have a responsibility to express yourself. It's not a privilege to express yourself. It is a responsibility. And so I guess that's what I would tell aspiring authors.
Hey, that's awesome. I think that's probably the first time I've ever heard anybody say it that way. And I think that's wonderful, because everybody has an audience, and you're writing for your audience. And if you don't put it out there, your audience is starving. I mean, when you think about it, that's true. We don't write I'll take that back. Some people write just for themselves. Just for them, nobody else, just for themselves. But for the most of us, those of us who write to publish, we're writing for an audience. We want to entertain someone. They're not getting any entertainment value if you're not putting it out there. Very good. Very well said, Miss Vivian.
Sure.
Well, listen, we're down to almost the last part of the show, and I always like to let my guests advertise their work and tell the listeners and the viewers where to find them on the internet. It's kind of like, here's your promo chance. Give it all you got.
Sure. So I try to keep my books as low cost as possible. War of Rain, Chasers, and Days of Amber, they are all on the Kindle for only $2.99. And if you would like to get the paperbacks, they're also on Amazon for, I believe, $15 or so. And yeah, War of Rain and Chasers are also on the Barnes& and Noble website. They are probably the same prices there also. But like I said, if you have a Kindle or even a Nook, they're all under $5 per book. So,
Everybody's a budget bargain shopper these days.
Definitely. Yeah.
So tell us where your website, if you're on Facebook and Twitter, all the different places we can find you.
Sure. So you can find me on Facebook. My name is just H.W. Vivian. Also, my second pseudonym, Alex Chu, is on Facebook also, so you can like both of them. And I'm also on Twitter as VHWANG number 7. And yeah, I'm there. My website is www.h-w-vivian.com. And if you go to the website, you can also find out where I publish my books if you're interested in self-publishing, and also where they're sold. So I hope you get to check them all out.
And you're going to find a lot of things, Miss Vivian, at Facebook and Twitter. I have gone out and I have liked you. I have followed you. So I think you answered one of my follows. But yeah, everybody go chase this lady around the internet. You guys, this is just too much fun. I do this for you so that you can meet new authors, find new books, and have some new friends to chat with. So please do feel free to go out there and find this young lady on the internet. Also, all of her links, her book covers and links to her books, this blog, podcast, video is all going to be at kimsmithauthor.com. And I thank you very much for coming on the show tonight, and I really hope you will come back.
Thank you so much, Kim. This has been so much fun, and I look forward to coming back someday.
Well, I want for you to, so you be sure and look me up as soon as you get that next book written.
I will. I will. Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this edition of Writer Groupie. For booking information, show notes, and more, visit kimsmithauthor.com.